There is a way to ask that the universe always answers, not through magic, not through willpower, but through something far more ancient, far more precise. When your heart enters a state of coherence, when your biology aligns with your deepest intention, when your entire being speaks the same language to the field that connects all things, something shifts. The field responds, not because you convinced it, not because you begged loud enough, but because, for the first time, your body, your heart, and your consciousness became a unified signal. And the field, this invisible intelligence that Gregg Braden spent decades studying, this quantum field that responds not to your words, but to the frequency of your inner state, finally recognizes you as ready to receive what you've been asking for all along. For years, you've been asking. You've written your intentions, spoken your affirmations, visualized your dreams with clarity and focus, and yet, something remains out of reach. Not because the universe isn't listening, not because you lack faith or devotion, but because there is a fundamental misalignment that most people never see, never address, never understand until it's too late. Gregg Braden calls it incoherence. A state where your mind says one thing, your heart feels another, and your body carries the memory of something entirely different. Three voices speaking at once, each one pulling in a different direction, creating static, confusion, a signal so distorted that the field cannot recognize what you truly want. When your mind desires abundance but your heart still holds the fear of loss, when you pray for love but your nervous system remembers betrayal, when you ask for healing but your body has learned to survive in pain, the field receives contradictory messages. And in that contradiction, nothing moves, nothing manifests. Not because the field is cruel or indifferent, but because it responds to coherence. It responds to the clarity of a unified signal. When your heart enters coherence, when the electromagnetic rhythm it generates becomes steady, harmonious, and aligned with your intention, the field has no choice but to respond. This is not philosophy. This is biology. This is the science of how consciousness interacts with the quantum field that shapes reality itself. The ancient traditions knew this. They spoke of alignment, of the union between spirit and matter, of the sacred marriage within. But they lacked the language of science to explain it. Gregg Braden gave us that language. He showed us that when the heart achieves coherence, it generates a measurable electromagnetic field thousands of times stronger than the brain. And this field, this signal, reaches out into the quantum field, the invisible web that connects all things, and begins to reorganize reality according to the frequency you are holding. Not the frequency you wish you had, not the frequency you pretend to feel, but the one your entire being is actually emitting in this moment. You send a prayer into the universe, a clear intention, a desire spoken from the deepest part of your soul. And then, in the very next breath, your body tightens, your chest contracts, your stomach churns with the old familiar anxiety that whispers, "But what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm not worthy? What if I lose everything trying?" And in that moment, without even realizing it, you have sent two opposing signals into the field. Your conscious mind says yes, but your nervous system, trained by years of disappointment and survival, says no. Your words declare faith, but your biology screams fear. The field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what your entire system believes is safe, is true, is possible. When there is incoherence, when your heart rhythm becomes chaotic and erratic, when the electromagnetic signal you emit is fractured and unstable, the field receives noise, static, a message that cancels itself out before it ever reaches its destination. This is why so many people feel unheard. This is why prayers seem to vanish into silence. Not because the universe has turned away, but because the signal never left your body with enough clarity to be recognized. Gregg Braden teaches that the heart is not just a pump, it is an electromagnetic transmitter, far more powerful than the brain, sending information into the field with every beat, every rhythm, every emotional state you hold. When you feel fear while asking for abundance, your heart transmits fear. When you imagine love while your body remembers abandonment, your heart transmits the memory, not the vision. The field is precise. It does not interpret. It does not guess. It mirrors back the dominant frequency you are holding, the one your nervous system has encoded as truth. So many of us live divided. We think one thing, feel another, and carry in our cells the unresolved imprints of our past. We say we are ready for transformation, but our body still holds the tension of the old life, still braces for the pain it learned to expect. And as long as that division exists, as long as the signal remains incoherent, the field will continue to reflect back the fragmentation, the uncertainty, the unhealed wounds we carry without even knowing. Words are not the language of the field. Thoughts alone do not carry the weight needed to bend reality. What the field recognizes, what it responds to with absolute precision, is feeling, not the shallow emotions that come and go with circumstance, but the deep, sustained feeling that arises when your heart, your mind, and your body all agree on the same truth. When you can hold the feeling of already having what you desire, when you can embody the state of being that corresponds to your intention, the field has no choice but to rearrange itself to match that frequency. This is what Gregg Braden discovered in his years of research, bridging ancient wisdom with modern science. The mystics were right. They always knew that prayer was not about asking, not about begging, not about convincing some distant power to grant a favor. Prayer was about feeling, about becoming the living embodiment of the answer before the question was ever answered. When you pray rain, you do not ask for rain. You feel the rain on your skin, the mud beneath your feet, the relief in your chest as the drought ends. You become rain, and the field, recognizing that frequency, that coherence, responds in kind. But so many of us have been taught to think our way into manifestation. We create vision boards, we write affirmations, we repeat phrases over and over, hoping that repetition alone will convince the universe to deliver. And yet, beneath all those words, beneath all that mental effort, the body remains unconvinced. The heart still holds doubt. The nervous system still prepares for disappointment. And so the feeling, the true signal, remains unchanged. You say you want love, but you feel unworthy. You say you want abundance, but you feel scarcity running through your veins like a current you cannot shut off. The field does not hear your words. It feels your frequency. And if your frequency is misaligned, if the feeling you hold does not match the reality you are asking for, the field will mirror back the frequency you are actually transmitting, not the one you wish you were. This is not punishment. This is precision. The field is not withholding anything from you. It is simply responding to the only language it knows, the language of coherent emotion, of sustained feeling, of a body and heart that have learned to live as if the prayer has already been answered. There is a part of you that remembers everything, every moment of rejection, every wound left unhealed, every time you reached for something and it was taken away. Your conscious mind may have forgotten, may have moved on, may have convinced itself that the past no longer matters. But your body remembers, your nervous system remembers. And it is this memory, this deep cellular conditioning that quietly sabotages every prayer, every intention, every sincere effort to create something new. Gregg Braden speaks of the emotional programming we carry, often from childhood, often from experiences so early we have no conscious recollection of them. These emotional imprints become the baseline frequency your body transmits into the field. If your body learned that love means pain, that success brings danger, that receiving means losing something else in return, then no matter how much you consciously desire these things, your system will resist them. Not because you lack willpower, not because you are broken or cursed, but because your biology, in its attempt to keep you safe, rejects what it has learned to associate with suffering. This is why affirmations sometimes feel hollow. This is why visualizations can leave you more frustrated than inspired, because beneath the surface of your conscious effort, there is an older, deeper program running. A program that says, I survived without this before, I will survive without it again. And survival, for the nervous system, is always more important than desire. Safety is always more important than growth. So even as you reach for love, for abundance, for healing, a part of you quietly pulls back, retreats, creates distance between you and the very thing you are asking for. You are not sabotaging yourself on purpose. You are simply responding to a conditioning so deep, so automatic that it feels like truth. And until you bring awareness to this programming, until you begin to feel into the places where your body says no, even as your mind says yes, the field will continue to respond to the deeper signal, the one encoded in your cells, in your breath, in the tension you carry without knowing why. The field does not judge this. It simply mirrors it back to you, showing you, with perfect clarity, what frequency you are actually holding beneath all the words, beneath all the hope, beneath all the longing that never seems to find its way home. The field does not respond to who you think you should be. It does not respond to the version of yourself you are trying to become. It responds to the state you are holding right now, in this moment, with every breath, with every heartbeat, with every emotion that moves through your body, like a current you can either resist or allow. Gregg Braden discovered that certain emotional states create coherence in the heart, a steady, harmonious rhythm that sends a clear, unified signal into the quantum field. And these states, these frequencies, are not abstract concepts or distant ideals. They are lived experiences. They are courage, connection, clarity, and trust. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to feel the fear and move forward anyway, to hold your ground, even when everything inside you wants to retreat. When you embody courage, your heart rhythm stabilizes, the chaos subsides, and the field recognizes this as a signal of readiness, a declaration that you are no longer waiting for permission, no longer paralyzed by doubt. Courage tells the field, I am here, I am present, I am willing to receive what I have been asking for. Connection is the feeling of being held, of knowing you are not alone in this vast, mysterious universe. It is the warmth that spreads through your chest when you remember that you are part of something infinite, something that has been guiding you all along, even in the moments when you felt abandoned. When you allow yourself to feel connected, to drop the armor of isolation and fear, your heart opens. And in that opening, the field responds with synchronicities, with signs, with the unexpected grace of being met exactly where you are. Clarity is the stillness that comes when the noise finally quiets, when you stop second-guessing yourself, stop arguing with reality, stop trying to control every outcome. Clarity is not about having all the answers. It is about knowing, deep in your bones, what feels true for you in this moment. And when you hold that clarity, when you trust it without needing external validation, the field aligns with that certainty. It stops offering confusion and starts offering confirmation. Trust is the most difficult state to embody because it requires you to let go before you see the evidence. It asks you to believe that the field is already responding, already rearranging, already bringing what you need, even when your circumstances scream otherwise. Trust is not blind faith. It is a felt sense in your body that says, I am safe, I am supported, I do not need to force this. And when your nervous system finally allows that trust, when your heart can hold it without collapsing back into fear, the field begins to move in ways that will astonish you. There comes a moment in every prayer, in every intention, in every desperate attempt to change your reality, when you realize that all your effort, all your striving, all your trying to convince the field to cooperate has been the very thing keeping it at a distance. You have been gripping so tightly, holding on with such force, that your hands have gone numb and your heart has forgotten how to breathe. And the field, in its infinite intelligence, cannot respond to force. It cannot respond to desperation. It responds only to the open hand, the quiet surrender, the willingness to release control and trust that what is meant for you will find its way without your constant interference. Gregg Braden teaches that the moment you stop trying to manipulate the outcome, the moment you stop demanding that the universe prove itself to you on your timeline, something shifts. The tension in your body releases. The chaos in your heart rhythm smooths into coherence. And the field, which has been waiting patiently for you to get out of your own way, finally has the space to move. Surrender is not giving up. It is not resignation or defeat. It is the profound recognition that you are not the one holding this entire process together. You never were. The field has been orchestrating everything all along, and your job was never to control it. Your job was to align with it. When you surrender, you are not abandoning your desires. You are simply releasing the need to dictate how, when, and in what form they must arrive. You are saying to the field, I trust you. I trust that you know what I need better than I do. I trust that even when things unfold differently than I imagined, they are still unfolding perfectly. And in that surrender, in that radical act of trust, the field begins to respond in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities appear that your limited thinking would have dismissed. People enter your life at exactly the right moment, carrying exactly what you needed, even though you never asked for them by name. So many of us have been taught that surrender is weakness, that letting go means losing, that if we are not in control, everything will fall apart. But the opposite is true. The more you try to control, the more rigid you become, the more you cut yourself off from the infinite possibilities the field is trying to deliver. When you finally release that grip, when you allow your heart to soften and your breath to deepen, and your body to remember that it is safe to receive without force, the field rushes in to meet you, not because you convinced it, not because you begged hard enough, but because you finally stopped blocking the flow. The mind creates images. It paints pictures of the life you want, the love you desire, the healing you long for. But images alone are not enough. The field does not respond to mental pictures, no matter how vivid or detailed they may be. What it responds to is the feeling those images evoke, the emotion that rises in your body when you allow yourself to truly inhabit the vision, to step inside it so completely that your nervous system cannot tell the difference between the imagined and the real. This is what Gregg Braden calls feeling the future into existence, not imagining it from a distance, but living it now, in your body, in your heart, in the present moment. When you visualize something you desire, your brain does not distinguish between a deeply felt imagined experience and an actual lived one. If you can feel the warmth of love wrapping around you, if you can sense the relief of healing moving through your cells, if you can embody the peace of abundance without the anxiety of lack, your brain begins to encode that experience as real. And your heart, responding to that feeling, shifts into coherence. The electromagnetic signal you send into the field changes. You are no longer transmitting longing or desperation. You are transmitting the frequency of someone who already has, who already is, who already lives in the reality you are calling forward. This is not pretending. This is not denial. This is not bypassing the pain of your current circumstances by plastering a fake smile over your fear. This is something far more profound. This is training your body to recognize a new baseline, a new normal, a new frequency that feels so true, so aligned, so safe that your nervous system begins to relax into it. And when your body relaxes, when it stops bracing for disappointment, when it stops preparing for loss, the field recognizes that shift. It recognizes that you are no longer asking from a place of emptiness. You are declaring from a place of fullness. The ancient mystics knew this. They would sit in meditation, not just thinking about their prayers, but feeling them as if they had already been answered. They would breathe into the sensation of gratitude, of relief, of joy, until their entire being vibrated with that frequency. And the field, sensing that coherence, that alignment, would respond not with what they lacked, but with what they already embodied. You do not need to see the entire path. You do not need to know how it will happen. You only need to feel deeply and fully what it would be like if it already had. And in that feeling, sustained long enough for your body to believe it, the field begins to reorganize reality around the frequency you are holding. There is a rhythm to everything, a pulse, a cadence that moves through nature, through the seasons, through the cycles of your own body. The field does not operate on your timeline. It does not rush to meet your urgency or bend to your impatience. It moves according to its own intelligence, its own perfect timing, a rhythm that has been orchestrating life long before you arrived and will continue long after you are gone. And when you try to force something into being before its time, when you demand that the field deliver on your schedule, you create resistance, you create friction, you interrupt the very process that was already unfolding in your favor. Gregg Braden reminds us that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. A seed does not become a tree overnight. A wound does not heal the moment you wish it away. The moon does not skip phases because you are tired of waiting for the full light. There is a gestation period for every prayer, every intention, every transformation you are calling into your life. And this period is not wasted time. It is not delay. It is the sacred space where your body learns to hold the new frequency, where your nervous system adjusts to the change, where the field recalibrates every element necessary to support what you are becoming. So many of us abandon our prayers too soon. We ask, we wait a week, a month, and when nothing appears to change, we decide the field is not listening, that we are not worthy, that manifestation is just another beautiful lie we told ourselves to cope with the disappointment of life. But the field was responding all along. It was rearranging circumstances, shifting energies, aligning people and opportunities in ways you could not yet see. And the moment you gave up, the moment you collapsed back into doubt, you disrupted the coherence. You sent a new signal that said, "Never mind, I no longer believe." And the field, always precise, always responsive, stopped the process it had begun. Timing is not about waiting passively. It is about sustaining the frequency. It is about holding the feeling, the trust, the coherence, even when the external world has not yet caught up. It is about understanding that the field works in layers, in cycles, in rhythms that honor the biology of change. Your body needs time to release old patterns. Your heart needs time to heal old wounds. Your nervous system needs time to learn that it is safe to receive what you have been asking for. And when you respect that timing, when you stop demanding instant results and start trusting the process, the field responds not with what you thought you wanted, but with something far greater than you ever imagined possible. Gratitude is not a polite gesture. It is not something you add at the end of a prayer to make it sound more spiritual, more humble, more acceptable to the universe. Gratitude is the signal that tells the field the experience has already been integrated, already been received, already been lived. When you feel true gratitude, not the forced kind that comes from obligation, but the deep, embodied kind that arises when your heart overflows with the recognition of what you already have, your entire electromagnetic signature changes. You are no longer transmitting lack. You are no longer sending out the frequency of someone who is waiting, hoping, longing for something to fill the void. You are transmitting wholeness, and the field, recognizing that wholeness, responds by amplifying it. Gregg Braden teaches that gratitude is the ultimate state of coherence. When you are grateful, your heart rhythm becomes smooth, harmonious, steady. The chaos of fear, doubt, and desperation dissolves. Your nervous system relaxes. Your body stops bracing for loss and starts opening to receive. And in that opening, the field has space to deliver what has been waiting for you all along. But here is the paradox. You cannot use gratitude as a manipulation tactic. You cannot fake it to trick the universe into giving you what you want. The field is too intelligent for that. It recognizes the difference between performative gratitude and the real thing. It knows when you are grateful for what you already are versus when you are pretending to be grateful for what you do not yet have. True gratitude does not wait for the external circumstance to change before it allows itself to be felt. It begins now, in this moment, with whatever is already present. It is the breath in your lungs. It is the beating of your heart. It is the fact that you are still here, still alive, still capable of feeling anything at all. And when you can anchor yourself in that gratitude, when you can allow it to fill your chest and radiate out into the field, something miraculous happens. The frequency you transmit shifts from scarcity to abundance. Not because you suddenly have more, but because you finally see, feel, and embody the fullness that was always there. This is why so many prayers remain unanswered. Not because the field is withholding, but because the one praying is still vibrating at the frequency of not enough. Still waiting for the thing to arrive before they allow themselves to feel grateful. Still holding their breath, clenching their fists, preparing for disappointment. And the field, precise as always, mirrors that frequency back. But when you can feel gratitude before the evidence appears, when you can live as if the prayer has already been answered, the field has no choice but to match that frequency. It begins to deliver experiences, opportunities, synchronicities that align with the wholeness you are already holding, not because you earned it, but because you became it. The field is always speaking to you. It is always responding, but most of us have stopped listening. We have become so focused on the big, dramatic signs, the unmistakable miracles, that we miss the quiet whispers, the subtle shifts, the tiny synchronicities that are the field's way of saying, I hear you, I am with you, keep going. A song that plays at exactly the right moment. A conversation that answers a question you never spoke out loud. A stranger who appears with the exact piece of information you needed. These are not coincidences. These are reflections of the coherence you are holding. Proof that the field is mirroring back the frequency you are transmitting. Gregg Braden calls these moments feedback loops. The field does not wait until your entire life has transformed to let you know it is listening. It gives you small confirmations along the way, breadcrumbs that guide you forward, reassurances that you are on the right path, even when the destination is not yet visible. But if you dismiss these moments as random chance, if you ignore the signs because they do not look like the grand miracle you were expecting, you break the feedback loop. You tell the field, through your doubt, through your dismissal, that you are not paying attention. And so the field, in its infinite responsiveness, stops sending the signs. Not because it has abandoned you, but because you stopped recognizing them. Every synchronicity is a mirror. It reflects back the internal coherence you are holding. When your heart is aligned, when your intentions are clear, when your nervous system trusts the process, the field responds with confirmation. Doors open, people reach out, opportunities emerge that you could not have planned or predicted. And each time you acknowledge these moments, each time you pause to feel the gratitude for the field's responsiveness, you strengthen the connection, you deepen the coherence, you tell the field, yes, I see you, I trust you, show me more. But the feedback is not always gentle. Sometimes the field shows you where you are still out of alignment, a relationship that falls apart, a plan that crumbles, a door that closes with such finality it takes your breath away. And in those moments, it is easy to believe the field has turned against you, that you are being punished, that nothing you do will ever be enough. But the field does not punish. It redirects. It shows you, with perfect clarity, where your signal was still fractured, where your heart was still holding doubt, where your body was still bracing for something other than what you said you wanted. And if you can see these moments not as failure, but as feedback, not as rejection, but as recalibration, the field will continue to guide you toward the coherence that makes manifestation inevitable. Your body will not allow you to receive what it does not feel safe holding. This is the truth most people never confront. You can visualize, affirm, and pray with all the sincerity in your heart. But if your nervous system is still coded for survival, still bracing for danger, still scanning the horizon for the next threat, it will reject what you are asking for, not out of cruelty, not out of self-sabotage, but out of a biological imperative to keep you alive. And survival, for your nervous system, means maintaining the familiar, even when the familiar is painful, even when the familiar is keeping you small. Gregg Braden discovered that the field responds most powerfully when the body feels safe in the present moment, not safe in the future, when everything finally works out, not safe in the past, when things were easier or more certain, but safe right now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this exact moment of existence. And safety is not the absence of challenge. It is not the absence of fear. It is the deep, felt sense that you are held, that you are supported, that even in the midst of uncertainty, you are not alone. When your body can rest into that safety, when your nervous system can finally exhale and release the chronic tension it has been holding for years, the field responds with a level of clarity and speed that will leave you breathless. So many of us are living in a state of perpetual alarm. Our bodies are waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the love to leave, for the money to run out, for the illness to return. And that waiting, that constant vigilance, sends a signal into the field that says, I am not safe, I am under threat, I need to protect what little I have. And the field, always responsive, mirrors that back. It keeps you in circumstances that confirm the need for vigilance, that justify the fear, that reinforce the belief that the world is not a safe place to relax, to receive, to open your hands, and trust that more is coming. But when you can bring yourself back to this moment, when you can feel the ground beneath you, the air in your lungs, the stillness that exists even in the midst of chaos, your body begins to remember what safety feels like. Not the safety of control, not the safety of knowing what comes next, but the safety of presence, the safety of being here, fully alive, fully awake, fully willing to meet whatever arises without collapsing into fear. And in that presence, in that radical acceptance of the now, the field stops reflecting your fear and starts reflecting your readiness. It stops delivering lessons in survival and starts delivering the life you have been asking for all along. There is a shift that happens when you finally understand what Gregg Braden has been teaching all along. You stop asking the field to give you something. You stop waiting for the universe to deliver a package to your doorstep, neatly wrapped and perfectly timed. You realize that manifestation was never about receiving. It was always about becoming the version of yourself that is already living in coherence with what you desire. Becoming the person whose biology, whose heart rhythm, whose electromagnetic signature is so aligned with the intention that the field has no choice but to reflect it back. You do not ask for love, you become love. You embody the frequency of someone who is already deeply cherished, already held, already seen. You do not ask for abundance, you become abundant. You feel the overflow, the generosity, the ease of someone who knows there is always enough. You do not ask for healing, you become whole. You breathe as if your body already remembers its own perfection, already trusts its capacity to restore itself. And in that becoming, in that transformation of your inner state, the external world has no choice but to shift. Not because you forced it, not because you manipulated it, but because the field is a mirror, and it can only reflect back what you are holding inside. This is why so many prayers go unanswered, because the person praying has not yet become the answer. They are still waiting for something outside of themselves to change before they allow themselves to feel different, to be different, to live differently. They are still holding the frequency of lack, of longing, of incompleteness, and wondering why the field keeps delivering more of the same. But the field is not withholding. It is simply responding with perfect accuracy to the signal you are sending. And the moment you change the signal, the moment you step into the identity of the person who already has what you are asking for, the field shifts. Reality shifts. Everything shifts. Gregg Braden spent years studying the science behind this. He measured the electromagnetic fields of the heart. He documented the coherence that arises when emotion and intention align. He showed us that this is not mysticism. This is biology. This is physics. This is the way consciousness interacts with the quantum field that underlies all of reality. And the profound truth he uncovered is this: you are not separate from the field. You are not standing outside of it, begging for entry. You are already in it, already connected, already influencing it with every thought, every feeling, every state you hold. The question is not whether the field will respond. The question is whether you are willing to become coherent enough for it to respond in the way you truly desire. So you do not ask anymore. You do not beg. You do not wait for permission. You simply step into the state, the feeling, the frequency of the life you are calling forward, and you hold it. Not for a moment, not for a day, but until your body believes it, until your heart trusts it, until your nervous system relaxes into the knowing that this is who you are now. And the field, sensing that coherence, that alignment, that deep inner transformation, responds not with what you thought you wanted, but with something far greater. It responds with the life you were always meant to live. Take a breath, a deep one. Let it fill your chest. Let it soften the places that have been holding tension for longer than you can remember. And as you exhale, let yourself feel, just for a moment, what it would be like if everything you have been asking for was already on its way. Not someday, not when you finally get it right, but now, already moving toward you, already responding to the frequency you are learning to hold. The field is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is not waiting for you to have all the answers, to never doubt again, to become some enlightened version of yourself that never feels fear or uncertainty. The field is waiting for you to be coherent, to align your heart with your intention, to feel in your body the truth of what you are calling forward. And that coherence does not require you to be flawless. It only requires you to be present, to be honest, to be willing to hold the frequency, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. Gregg Braden gave us the science. He gave us the language to understand what the mystics have always known, that you are not separate from the intelligence that creates worlds. You are woven into it. Every heartbeat is a signal. Every emotion is a frequency. Every moment of coherence is a conversation between you and the field that connects all things. And that field is listening. It has always been listening. It is simply waiting for you to send a signal clear enough, sustained enough, aligned enough for it to respond in the way you have been longing for. So do not give up. Do not collapse back into the old story that says you are not worthy, that it is too late, that the field has forgotten you. The field does not forget. It only mirrors. And if what you are seeing reflected back is not what you desire, it is not a punishment. It is an invitation to go deeper, to feel more fully, to release the patterns that no longer serve you and step into the coherence that has been waiting beneath the surface all along. You are not broken. You are not blocked. You are simply learning a new language, the language of the heart, the language of the field. And every moment you spend in coherence, every breath you take with intention, every time you choose to feel gratitude before the evidence appears, you are speaking that language more fluently. You are becoming the answer to your own prayer. And the field, in its infinite responsiveness, is already rearranging reality to meet you there. There is a silence that exists beneath all the noise, beneath all the striving, beneath all the desperate attempts to make something happen. It is the silence where the field lives, where coherence is born, where the heart finally stops fighting and starts listening. And in that silence, you will find what you have been searching for all along. Not out there, in some distant future where everything finally aligns, but here, now, in the quiet space between your thoughts, in the stillness that remains when you stop trying to control the outcome and simply allow yourself to be held by something far greater than your individual will. Gregg Braden reminds us that the most powerful prayers are often the ones spoken without words, the ones that arise from a place so deep, so true, that language cannot contain them. They are felt prayers, embodied prayers, the kind that move through your entire being like a current, aligning every cell, every breath, every heartbeat with the intention you are holding. And when you can rest in that silence, when you can trust that the field is already responding, even when you cannot yet see the evidence, you step into a kind of faith that does not need proof, a faith that is its own reward. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning. The moment you realize that you are not waiting for the universe to choose you, you are choosing yourself. You are deciding in this moment to hold the frequency of the life you desire, to embody the coherence that makes manifestation inevitable, to trust that the field has been responding all along, even in the moments when you felt most alone. And that trust, that quiet knowing, is the signal the field has been waiting for. So let yourself rest here, in this moment, in this breath, in the knowing that you are already connected, already heard, already held by an intelligence that wants nothing more than to see you thrive. The field is not your enemy. It is not indifferent. It is the most responsive, most precise, most loving partner you could ever ask for. And it is speaking to you now, in the silence, in the stillness, in the gentle whisper that says, you are ready. You have always been ready. Now become what you have been asking for.